Okay, so I'm going to come back to stairs. So having made the existing stair, which I know you probably won't need to show in your design drawings if you're doing a different stair for your own design, which I'm assuming you would be, it's still a good exercise to go through. And in real life, when you work on any project that is going to be built in the real world, you need to show what's existing anyway, and that's an important set of drawings that you'd always need to give to your client and the approving body, which is normally going to be council. So even though you don't need to do the drawings, I think for your own design projects that show the existing stair, like I said, it's good exercise just to go through. Having said that, I'm going to delete that stair and make some different kinds of stairs, mainly using the Stair by Sketch tool. So make sure you realise that in Revit you've got those two completely different stair creation tools, and they're not interchangeable. So once you use Stair by Component, you can't go back and switch it to the other type. And they even use different library parts. So when you go to load the stairs in from the library, you need to be aware which stair tool you've used, because they use different technical aspects in the setup of the stairs. Okay, so before you even go to draw your stairs though, one of the most useful things is to set out the area and the shape of your stair in plan using things like reference planes and a new thing I'm going to show you, detail lines. And then also think about the height. So earlier, if you'd seen the video I showed you earlier on levels, I made the basement level minus 3,500, but I've just worked out with Jess that the height there probably should be, or could be, changed to be slightly less high, and we'll make it 3,400, because if you have an idea about the requirements for stairs and you know that the maximum stair height is 190, and then do a quick calculation. Okay, so 3,500 divided by 190 gives us a bit over 18. So that means we'd need 19 rises to go between those two levels. And if you've had a look at the BCA requirements for stairs, you'd know that you need to have no more than 18 steps in a single flight. So if you need 19, that means you're going to need a landing, which is going to affect your stair design heavily. So I'll change that. So 3,400 on the other hand, divided by 190 is a bit less than 18. So that's going to work much better in terms of our stair design. And we haven't been given a floor-to-floor height. We've only been given a ceiling height of 3,200. So we can pretty safely assume that the floor structure is 200, and that way we can get away with a floor-to-floor height of 3,400, which will work much better. And that's actually the starting point for any stair design, being aware of the floor-to-floor height, or the height of the level you're going from and the level you're going to, so you know the difference, and then you can work out the riser height. You don't start with the riser height, you start with the number of risers and divide that between your two levels, and that gives you the riser height. So at this point you probably should be starting to look at the requirements for stairs in the BCA, and if you don't know, it's all free now, which is a great thing. I've had to pay about $1,000 a year for a subscription to the BCA and the Australian standards, and starting from this year, I think it began, it's all been made free, which is a fantastic thing. It's the National Construction Code now, so it's still called the BCA, or Building Code of Australia, but it's all been brought together in this National Construction Code. So just Google that, and then it's free to register, and you've got access to all of it completely free, which is a nice thing. And so if you haven't looked at the BCA before, it's traditionally been broken up into two main volumes. There are others, but these are the two main volumes. And I'll tell you, the first one is mainly for class 2 to 9, and then the second volume is for class 1 to 10. Yours isn't a class 1 building, but that's where it gets a bit confusing. A lot of the requirements for all buildings are in volume 2, because class 1 is residential, and that has a lot of the basic requirements, and then you go beyond that for class 2 buildings and the other one. So yours is not class 2 either. It's probably class I think class 5. I'd have to look that up. But either way, the requirements for stairs generally in section 3, and then you've got the section on safe movement and access, which is where you find the requirements for stairs. But have a look in section 2 as well, so volume 1 I mean, for class 2 buildings, and you'll find there are other requirements. Yeah, so this is volume 2 that I'm looking at now, which has got the main requirements for stairs. But, yep. But also have a look in volume 1, and you'll see there are further requirements for your class of building. So you'll need to look that up as well. Section D, I'd be fairly sure, is the main one, but I'll have to double check that. Okay, so yeah, start with volume 1 and read through all of this. It's fairly easy to understand, volume 2. And it's all interesting. It probably is going to be fairly easy for you to read through this, and it'll give you a much firm idea how to design stairs as well when you look through all of these drawings. Volume 1 is a little bit more abstract, you'll find, but anyhow, you'll see when you read it how that works. And so you can keep referring back to that as you make your stairs in Revit, and also do the set out, which is what I'm going to do now. So I've got the levels set out, and now I'm going to go to the basement level, where I've drawn the walls, and I want to set out a different shape for my stairs. And so I want the main shape of my stairs to be curved, but I might just quickly give you an idea about the way you use the stair tool before I do that. So I've got here some reference planes that I've drawn that mark the walls above. And so looking at the level above, this wall here you can see is existing. I can probably delete that wall, I'm going to when I go to do the new stair. But just for now, I'm going to follow that wall just to use as an example. And then I'm going to make another reference plane below that, and then make it, using the dimension there, 1 metre from the one above. And then I'm going to draw a reference plane across the front there, which marks where the stair is going to begin. And then the final thing is to have a further reference plane for the centre line. And this will all make sense once you see how the stair tool works. Okay, so if you set out those points using reference planes, then when you go to use stair by sketch, you'll see it begins with the run tool, and I'm going to leave it for now on this straight line option. I'm going to go down in properties and then just check the main properties there. So I've got the desired number of risers on 18, which will give me 188.9 riser height, and I've got the width there on 1000 already. So if you remember, that's what I've set that distance to. And then I've done the centre line, because when you use the run tool, it begins, or it makes you draw the stair using the centre line. So I'm going to begin there, and then you'll see in grey it's giving me the riser count, which can be a bit hard to read, but you can usually work it out. And so there it's telling me 7 rises created, 11 remaining. If I go further to the right, it's going to give me 9 rises created, 9 remaining. And so I'll click to create that number of rises. And now I want to have the stair turning a corner. And so I'm going to begin it on this other reference plane. And then take it up. And then taking it over to the left. Do some more rises. So you can see hopefully from that example that the first part was easy to set out accurately because I'd already put the reference planes in. But the second and the third flight, I had to guess a little bit about the position of those stairs because with the drawing with the centre line, it's a bit difficult to work out accurately how that's going to line up. So I'll cancel that. That would work as a stair, but I'll cancel it. And to do it a bit more accurately, I can now go a bit further and put some more reference planes in. And this is just the way you do your stair design generally. So when you're doing it by hand, you'd follow the same approach. You'd think about your riser height by working out the height between your levels. And then when you're working it out in plan, what do you call the distance between your steps going the other way? So? Going, exactly. So going is what they call it now in the BCA and in other things. Traditionally it was the tread, so you had the tread and the riser, but now, as you're saying, it's the going and the riser. And so here you'll see it talks about the going distance and the riser height as well. So I need to know my going, and it's often, well, the minimum is, you know, the minimum going or tread? 24. That's in residential it is, yep, 24 or 240 mil. But in public stairs it's 250. So you could do it in multiples of 250, so I could make this 2500, which would give me 10 goings or 10 treads. But if I wanted to have a more generous tread, I could make it 3000 to give me 10, or if I want 9, that'll be 2700. So what I'm trying to show you here is that you do a lot of the working out before you go and use the stair tool. So now if I wanted to turn a corner, I can draw another reference plane. Now you can have it going from the corner there, and so I could make it, if it's 1000 wide, with the next flight going up in that space there. But again, think about what that translates to in 3D. And again, you can work all of this out in plan. At that corner there, remember you're going to have a step, and then it goes to the landing, and then another step here. So really at that corner point, you're going up 2 rises in no distance. And so that is going to cause a problem with the stairs, but an even greater problem with the railing, because the railing has to go up 2 treads in next to no distance. And if you have a look at some real stairs, you'll notice that when they have that sort of transition, the railing suddenly goes up a big distance, and it looks a bit unusual, and it's just generally a bit awkward. So it's good to leave a gap there. So rather than doing it a metre from the end of this this last riser, if you can add in some extra room there, even just 50 mil, but 100 mil would be good. And then the same going the other way. Okay, so coming across here, adding in another 100 mil. And then begin the next step there. Okay, so coming across here, it would be 1000 from that last reference plane. And then I want to use the centre line, or work out where the centre line again is for this little flight of stairs. So just making that 500. And then again, I want to work out where the next, or where this flight of stairs finishes. So I might just have, say, 2 steps there. So it'll just be 600. And then again, we've got the same thing there. So at the end of that flight, if I want the next flight of stairs to begin and go to the left, I want to allow that 100mm set out. So I'm just going to make it extend that one up. And then again, bring this up 100mm. Extend that out. Interestingly, I don't need to work out where this last flight is going to finish. The stair tool will do that for me. Okay, so I'll bring that up. So there, I've worked out the most important thing, which is where this second flight begins and ends, and then where the third flight begins. I don't need to work out where the third flight finishes because, again, the stair tool is going to do that automatically. So now, using Stair by Sketch, it's a fairly simple process. I can change the tread distance, or the tread depth, which remember is the same as going, to 300. The risers, I could leave on 18, but because I've got landings and I've got the room, I can increase the riser count, which is going to give me lower risers, which again is a good thing. You don't want to always go to the maximum. So now I can start on this intersection, coming across to the left. If I finish on the next intersection, I know because they're all 300 that it should be even. And, well, it's not, and I can tell it's gone back to 250 there, so I'll undo that. And we'll change the treads again there to 300. Got to watch out for that, so I'll do that again. That's better. And so now the next flight would begin on this intersection and coming up just 2. And then again, so notice I've got that return there on the landing. And then going to the next intersection and coming across, you can see it all fits in pretty well. Okay, so again, what I'm trying to show you there is the process is virtually the same as it was when people did everything on drawing boards with pen and paper. You still have to set it out and have a good idea of the design and establish those main constraints using some sort of set out method, and in Revit, reference planes are probably the best tool to use for that. I'll maybe just quickly show you that stair in section. Okay, so you can see that's all fitting in, and then the last step is the floor on the next level. So we don't really need to have that last riser, and I'll show you can turn that off. But if you have a look at monolithic stairs, they're essentially concrete stairs or solid stairs. It works a bit differently, and they count the last riser as part of the stair, which you really don't want. So there, a really good trick is to go down and increase the riser count by 1. You can see it's popped it down to 19 anyway. So if I go to 20 there, that will bring this last riser down. That's okay. And make it work the way it did before. So there we'd need to look at the floor thickness and increase that so it touches, and I can easily do that going to there, edit type, and I'll just make a new one, 200mm. So now it gets a little technical, but that's the way stairs work. You have to think a little bit about the structure. Okay, so then that stair would butt up to the floor. Alright, so that's for a straight stair. If you need to do a curved stair, the set out's even more involved. So I'll get rid of all of these. And so you've probably noticed already, the reference plane tool doesn't give you the option of creating curved reference planes. So instead, a good option is to use detail lines. You can also use model lines, which are back on the architecture tab, but model lines show up in all of the views. And so you probably don't want them to show up in 3D views, and that's why I tend to not use model lines for this work. Instead, detail lines only show in the view you draw them in. And so that's useful for things that you're just using for set out. So with a detail line, I'm going to draw an arc, and so I want my new stair to be 1 metre from the wall here. So I'm going to draw actually another line, just a normal detail line first, and sorry, let's do that again. I'm going to use dash line there. So if you haven't used detail lines, have a look at the options you've got for line styles. And you've got most of the options that you have in programs like AutoCAD. So I can draw a dash line there and come back and select it and make that 1000. So my stair is going to start somewhere along that edge. And then using detail lines again, I'm going to draw an arc. And just to maybe give you a tip here, you can draw spline-based curves for things like stairs, but think about the way a stair needs to be divided up with even treads, and the treads don't need to all be even, but the risers do, and it's good to have the treads set out evenly just to do your compliance and work the distances out. And it's really difficult with a spline-based curve to do that. If you really want to do one, what I'd recommend is that you do it in AutoCAD first. It's much easier to work out the lines that way and then bring those lines into Revit. But honestly, the best option is to try and do what you want using arcs instead. So arcs, being a segment of a circle, are much easier to divide up and work with generally. So I'm going to use an arc tool there to draw the first curve that I want, starting on that that line I've drawn, and then I'll give the second point where I want that arc to finish, and then bring it down. That's the curve I want my stair to follow. Now I can move that across. I want to also have it 1 metre from this wall. So again, to make that easier, I'm going to draw another detail line, and so that I don't have to come back and select it afterwards, I'm going to turn the chain option off, and then you'll see if I draw the line in now, it'll leave the dimension there. And now I can move that arc across and snap it to that that detail line. And so then the landing there, I'm going to still have a landing with this stair, even though I don't need one. And then the second curve, I'm going to use, I'm actually just going to use mirror. So instead of drawing a new detail line, I'm going to select this one that I've already created and use mirror draw axis and go to the midpoint of this wall here. Which, yep, comes up with the triangle there and coming across. Okay, so that's the basic shape I want my stair to be, and I'll put in other detail lines then to follow that curve. So I'm going to use the pick lines option here and change the offset there to, again, 1000. And then the offset there I'll change to 500. And then I'll draw some lines across and see if I've got the clearance that I need. So again, just using more detailed lines. Okay, so landings should be 750 from the centre line. So I'm going to measure there from centre to centre, and you can see that's over a metre. So that's enough. And now I can even move these across to the wall there. But actually, I want to make sure of that width there. So that's a metre. I probably want to keep that actually, so I'll leave them as they are. Okay, so that's the sort of setup you want to do with curved stairs. And it's a lot like drawing in AutoCAD. So just doing everything in 2D first. And so now with the, again, Stair by Sketch tool, I'm going to go to the other option you have with Run, which is to draw an arc. So with this arc tool, you need to give the centre point first. So remember, I've drawn these arcs. Arcs are a segment of a circle. So I can type SC to snap to the centre of one of those arcs. Begin it on that curve somewhere. And I'm going to show you a trick here. I'm going to begin it with the just a rough point on that curve there, and bring it around and finish it where the risers are at an even count. So notice if I go to the landing there, it's not going to be where a riser finishes. So I'm just going to finish it to one side. And then I'm going to select all of it and use rotate. And I'm going to drag this base point now using SC to snap to the centre of that curve there. So you can see the centre point's all the way down here. And then I'm going to pick up the corner there and bring that around to the next corner. So that gets it exactly to where I want the landing to begin. So SC is a really good option you can use to snap to the centre of a curve. I'll show you in a minute though, if you want to mark that centre point, there's another way of doing that. But now I'm just going to go back to the Run tool, change it to drawing a curve again, and then again use SC to snap to the centre of this curve, which again is up here. And now I can begin it on the landing and just take that around to finish it. So notice it's created a landing for me, but it's not the shape I want. So I'm going to delete the edges. And then you'll see below the Run option, you've got options for creating a boundary and a riser. Don't need to create any more risers, but I want to make a new boundary. The green lines are your boundaries. So I'm just going to draw new lines. Okay, so that's the stair outline complete. So I'll finish that. And then in 3D, it's a bit difficult to see the stair. So I'm going to duplicate this view. And even then, it's difficult, but if I orbit, I can see the stair. Otherwise, you can go to wireframe. So I'm going to select the stair there, and then just using the glasses there, go to isolate element. And then back in shaded, we can have a close look at the stair. So you can see the type of stair it's given me has a stringer and separate treads and risers. So you've got here a tread sitting on top of a riser, which is that flat piece there. So that's not really the kind of stair I want. And if you select any stair and go to edit type, you'll see you have options for changing all of those different elements, the risers, stringers, and then above that the treads. But I'm going to show you as well how you can get pre-made stairs from the library. So this is the last major aspect with stairs. And I've got some of the steps on this in the previous video as well. Instead of using load family, the trick is to use open, and this is what everyone forgets when they go to get things like stairs and railings. From the main menu, choose open, and don't choose an option there. Just click where it says open. And what that'll do is open any file. See down here it says it'll open RVT, which is a project file, RFA, the family file, and then RTE and RFT are just template files. So now I can browse to the metric library and then go to sample files, where you'll see it has stairs and railings. So notice they're project files, they're not family files, and that's why you can't use load family. It'll seem a bit strange at first, but once you get used to it, it's a really good method for bringing things in. So I'm going to open this stairs file. And then looking at these stairs, you can see you've got a lot of the main different stair types already made for you there. Now, there's a problem with this file though. If you select any of those stairs, you'll see they come up as either assembled stairs or cast in place stairs. If you see anything before the word stair and you've used stair by sketch, it's not the kind of stair you want, unfortunately. So these might be the stair construction types that you want, but remember what I was saying before about the two different stair tools you have, stair by component and stair by sketch. These are ones made with stair by component. So if you've used stair by sketch, which is the older tool, you have to go to a different file. You'll still get the same options. So back to open, and go onto the P drive, and then in interior design, the Revit library, which hopefully you're already using to get extra things. You'll see there's an identical sample files folder there. And the stairs file here looks the same. I'll just open it. When you open it, it'll look identical to what I've just opened. Or virtually identical. But notice if I select these stairs now, it just says stair in properties. So that's how you know they're the ones made with stair by sketch. Because in properties it'll just say stair at the top. It won't say assembled stair or cast in place or anything else. So it's just one of those little technical things with Revit. It's really good for getting things like these spiral stairs as well, because it gives you the posts and the railings with them. And also stairs where you want certain landings as well, because that's all set up in the properties. So have a look at the different basic constructions that you have there. You can adjust them further, of course, but if you've got something close to what you want, it's much easier just to select it and bring it into your file. So then to bring this into your file, once you've selected it, then in the clipboard panel, you need to click the copy to clipboard button. Okay, I know they could have made this simpler, but it's just the way that it is. So at least it works in the end. So once you click on this option here, copy to clipboard, you'll see paste becomes an option. And now to switch back to my file, I'm going to go to the little Windows button up on the ribbon here, or above the ribbon, and then clicking on that little down arrow, I can go to any of the views that I already had open. Now back onto modify, I'm going to choose paste, and then just place that new stair anywhere. You've got to bring it in just to get that stair type. Don't worry if it gives you any messages, just click OK. Okay, so selecting that stair, I can see the name. It's actually called Residential Spiral. So this is one that was set up for spiral stairs, but we can use it for anything else. So I can select my stair now and choose Residential Spiral. Okay, and I've got my own stair set to that new stair type, so I can delete the other one. Don't need it anymore. And then go further and make any changes. So I want to also change the railing, so I'm going to just bring back the other elements. I choose Reset Temporary Hide Isolate. That'll bring back everything else. And then I might just instead hide the walls using that same option there. So remember, this is your temporary hide. The other option, when you right click, is a more permanent way of hiding things. You choose Hide in View. So here again, I'll hide the category, hide all my walls, and I might also hide the ground. Oops, sorry, using the temporary hide. And I think floor as well. So the railing there, I want to change to something completely different. That's an awful railing. So when you select the railing, you'll see they're separate elements to the stair. You have a few that are preloaded into the file. So I can choose any of those. So the glass one. Again, you might get a warning, don't worry too much about that. Remember what I was saying about the transitions between the landings and the stair flight. So I've got those different pre-made railings, but they're all pretty awful, and you probably want to choose something a bit more design into it. So I'm going to go again and choose Open. And then browse. This time I can go to the new library using just metric library and then sample files. Luckily they haven't changed the railing tool, so you can load any railings. Doesn't matter which stair tool you've used. So here you can see again we've got all these different pre-made railings. You can of course adjust any of the properties in the railings and make your own changes and create your own designs. But these are a good starting point. So use the same method to bring those into your own file as you do with the stairs. So you can select one of these, use Copy to Clipboard, and then switch using the Windows tool back to your own file. On the Modify tab, just use Paste to bring that railing in somewhere. Just place it anywhere, and then you'll see you can select any railing in this file and choose the new one, which is that one there. That's it. Still not perfect, it's got some issues there, and this will often happen at the transitions. So I'll show you later how you can develop those, and it's got plenty of tools in Revit that you can use to work those transitions out more accurately and have that going a bit more smoothly. But that's something we'll do later. And so finally, having got that main or that basic setup for my stairs, I might realise that I'm going to have a wall probably along this side, so I may not need to have this railing at all, so I can just delete that one. And then going back to my plan, I could start working out the walls that maybe would go alongside this stair in any case, and so using just a regular wall tool, I'll set the height of that wall just up to level 1 for now, and using pick lines instead of trying to draw the wall with finished face interior, I can pick the edge of that stair and use that as the basis for my wall shape. Might make that into a narrower wall. And for this kind of stair, that wall would be required. Might even need to be a thicker wall, but I'll just leave it like that for now. And there it's, sorry, I'll just bring that one around instead. So I've got a 3D view set up with a section box, and just so I can show you the final thing with that stair. So this wall here I'd probably remove. So remember, because the stair doesn't have a stringer, it's got to be cantilevered out from a wall. It couldn't be freestanding, this stair. So that's a cantilevered stair, which is, in other words, projecting out from the wall. And if it is a true cantilevered stair, it would probably need to have a thicker tread. So instead of 25mm, I'd make that at least about 50. And then also remember, the floor needs to be adjusted to follow the shape of your stair. So I'll go back now and edit the shape of this floor. Again, pick lines is a really good option there, because I've got the main edges that I need for my floor already defined. Okay, so I can just go joining things there and get rid of these extra edges. And then back to pick lines, and I can follow the wall there, and again just join the lines together. So I'd need another wall here to go alongside that that stair. Again, here I'm going to say no for attaching. So with another wall, again, pick lines is a great option here, so I don't have to draw that shape. I can just let the stair define the wall, this time just up to the ground floor. And I might just bring that around to join the other wall. Okay, so if you have a situation like this where the walls aren't cleaning up properly, a little tip there, maybe I can just show or remind you about the join tool and use that with these two walls. And the same, well there, yeah, I'd do that as well actually. So that way I can probably, if I need to, have more depth for the cantilevering of the walls. It's not a problem to just change that wall thickness if I need to a thicker wall. And then back into the 3D view, you can see that's working fairly well. And we just need a railing, or have to look at the shape of the floor there. I'll probably do more work on that and make it follow the design a bit more. But hopefully that can give you some ideas about the options you have for the stair design. And really the secret is to try not to do it all with the stair tool. Set out as much as you can in advance, using again the levels, and then think about the set out in plan, and even doing some sketching, and worst case, if you can't do the setup in plan in AutoCAD, go back, in Revit I mean, go back to using AutoCAD, because AutoCAD has some great options for doing two-dimensional drawing, as I'm sure you all know. And one thing I know someone's going to ask me at some point is, how do you do a plain glass balustrade alongside a stair like this? And that's an option, but I'll I'll show you that later, but you can definitely do that. If you want to have a stair that doesn't have a railing or anything like that, it's definitely possible to do that in Revit as well. But it's with a little bit of a trick to it, so anyhow, I'll show you that later.